that last week of July, I had maybe that much done on the body. So I really, once I made a decision that I really wanted to make some forward progress with it, it was quite incredible how much I was able to actually get accomplished when you focus on something. Kind of amazing, isn't it? Welcome to Michelle's Fiber Studio podcast. My name is Michelle and I am your host. Today is Sunday, September 15th, and this is episode number 23. It is a gorgeous sunny day today in the high 70s, low 80s. Actually, I'm getting a little warm. I'm still dressed for church and I was perfectly comfortable until like 10 seconds before I sat down to record. And I'm like, okay, it's getting warm. I am so glad that you are here. If this is your first time joining me, thank you so much for checking me out. And if you're a returning viewer, well, thank you very much for coming back. I have a finished object to share with you. I have several whips, I think 3 different whips to talk about, including one that has come back from long time or summertime hibernation. But before we do that, I am actually wearing knitting, at least for the 10 seconds that it will take for me to talk about it. By the time we get to the next segment, this might have come off, but that's what I was wearing this morning. This is my Silk Honeycomb scarf by Weir. I knit it back in 2015. Marta was sporting this a couple of weeks ago, so I am not going to go into great detail about this one. If you are interested, go back and check out, I don't know, it's episode 20, 21, something like that, where I talked about this. But Marta today is wearing another one of my shawls. This is the Yorkshire Meadow by Jennifer Lassonde. I knit this one in 2020. My notes say I cast it on June 17th and I completed it on October 4th. So summer of 2020. When all was kind of in a little bit of chaos. My knitting was a great big comfort, I'll say. The yarn is Joji Land Splatter Dash, and it was like color numbers. So I've got an ivory and then it's not even a navy blue, but it's a bluish green color that I don't know if the camera is quite picking up the shade of blue that is, but this is actually one of my favorite shades of blue. I love blue, but it's kind of like that shade of blue that I prefer. It's a merino, 100% merino worsted weight. There we go. That's where my emphasis should have been. Worsted weight. I don't knit with worsted weight yarns very often, but for this one I did, and it's a great shawl. It's another one I like to wear. It's fairly heavy because it is merino, so it's got some heft to it when I put it on. So it's a comfort to wear. It's nice and warm in the depth of winter when it's really cold, of which it is not right now. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. On my blocking board, I do have a finished object to share. I am very excited about this one as I have finished, get the little fuzz off it, my Boxy. Look at that. So yeah, I am really pretty pleased with this. I hold it all the way up. You can see the bottom. So let's talk about this. I started this initially back May 8th. My notes on. I finished it on Thursday. And as you may recall, I ran out of yarn. I knew that I was going to run out of yarn. So the yarn is Wonderland Yarns. It is their Mad Hatter base, which is a sport weight 100% superwash merino. The color name is Jub Bird. So I had 3 skeins of this in my stash when I set out to make the Boxy, and for whatever reason felt like I could squeeze the Boxy out of it because I wasn't going to make it as wide, and it is not as wide. I'm not going to put it on for you right now, but it actually, I think I measured it and it came out to 52 or 54 inches, and I think it's supposed to be like 66 or 68. And I just knew I didn't want it to be that wide, so I was kind of hoping I could squeeze it out of the 3 skeins that I had, but it soon became, well, not soon, but as I was closing in towards the home stretch, it became apparent that I wasn't gonna quite have enough. And indeed, I wouldn't have. That is what I have left of my original ball of yarn. And so I ended up going on to the Wonderland Yarns website and ordering a whole nother skein, and it came in, even though it's the same colorway name, it's a very, very different dye lot, because I bought this yarn 4 years ago, and it came in as a completely different color. Look at the difference between the two yarns. So this is what I have left of the full skein, the fourth skein that I got. But they are very different. So I had to kind of figure out how I was going to accommodate for that. Excuse me. So what I chose to do is I knit the collar in that different color, and then I knew I was going to need to knit the sleeves in that color. And then I brought in the new color. Can you see on the bottom? I picked up, and I can't see what you're seeing because I'm completely covering my face, so I hope that this is showing. But I picked up and I did a single crochet all the way around the bottom, because you work from the bottom up. And then I had the brilliant idea of taking my original color and doing a single crochet around both of the cuffs. Can you see? I don't know if you can quite see the difference in the tones there, but this has the original color on the cuff. And so I'm actually really tickled. Obviously, I would have preferred that the colors were all the same, but I'm really quite tickled with how this came out, considering that I have some very different shades and some different tones going on. I think it's pretty fun. So I am really excited to have this done. I did the bulk of it from, even though I cast it on May 8th, I would say the last week of July until, so in about 5 weeks, I really did the bulk of it, because I don't think up to that last week of July, I had maybe that much done on the body. So I really, once I made a decision that I really wanted to make some forward progress with it, it was quite incredible how much I was able to actually get accomplished when you focus on something. Kind of amazing, isn't it? So that is my finished object. This is kind of the last big one that I wanted to get done before, or my hope was to have gotten them done in time for the beginning of the pigskin party. That didn't quite happen, but that's okay. There was plenty of pigskin party left to come. So with that, let's move on to our next section. In my project bag this week, I got 3 different projects. So let's go with my most recent cast on. Once I had my my other shawl done that I finished and showed you last week, and then I knew my Boxy was well on its way, I wanted to get another shawl going. So this one here is the Dress It Up Shawl by Lisa K. Ross of Paper Daisy Creations. I didn't get a ton done on it. Now that I'm back in school, my knitting time is a little less, and this week was a kind of another busy one. And I was focusing on getting my Boxy done. So I didn't get as much done as I would like, but there we go. And I have my little fall. I realized last time that the charm didn't turn itself around, so I don't think you were able to really see the colors, but that's what I got done, and the bulk of that I got done yesterday afternoon. But that's okay. It's on its way now, and my other projects are done. So hopefully this will kind of be the next thing that I can really plug away at. So let's talk about the yarn here. I have 2 different skeins of yarn. This one here is what the full skein looks like. Can you see the sparkle in that? It's so fun. This is yarn that I got at the spa in Freeport, spa event in Freeport that my mom and I go to. And it is by Fiber Stash Dye Works in their Twinkle Toes base. So let's pull out the tag here. See if I flatten it a little bit so you can see a little better. There we go. Fiber Stash Dye Works. And this is the All the Fall colorway. And then I have a second color right here that is going to get brought in with some twinkle in there too. You can probably, I think you can pick that up. Oh yeah, I can even see it in my little bit of the camera. And the colorway on this one is Cora Crawley, which I know is a Downton Abbey reference. I'm not sure. I wouldn't have thought that that maroon red would be a Cora Crawley color. I'll have to, it's been a while though since I've watched it, so I don't know. Did she wear this color a lot? But at any rate, Cora Crawley is that color. So that one, once I get a good chunk of this, that one doesn't get brought in. What I'm liking about, and kind of part of the reason I chose this shawl is it is a 2-color shawl, so it will use the 2 colors, but they're done in big chunks. So I will be breaking the yarn in between each one, and I won't have to carry the yarns up the side, which the last several projects, multicolored shawls that I have done, I've been carrying the yarn and I'm quite frankly sick of it. So I wanted one where I could have 2 different colors but not have to carry the yarn. So that was a big factor in the choice of this particular shawl, I will be frank. So that's that one. The next project I think I'll pull out is my retro socks. And I got a fair amount on this one done. So here, look at this. I have finished the first sock. Oh, let's spread it out. There we go. So you can, there. So you can see where I was last week when I podcasted. So this sock is done. And then I got this much done on the second sock. I would say I'm probably just about halfway. See, again, I used my palm, remember, as a measuring point. So I'm probably about halfway up the leg. So I finished the first one on Friday, and then I cast on the cuff and I worked on the sock. I cast on the cuff in the car. We drove up to Orono yesterday to spend the day with my son in the marching band. There was a football game. And so I got the cuff done before we got there, and then the rest of this, the sock itself, I got done during the football game. So that I thought was pretty cool. They are chugging along. One really fun fact, it is fluorescent. The yarn is my Yarnables yarn. And, oh, neon, that's what I wanted, because yeah, neon graffiti is the colorway name. But one night it was dark, I was getting ready to go to bed, and the room was pretty much dark, but I do have a fish tank, you can't see it, but it's over like just that way, and it's got blue lights that are on, and those were the only lights on in the room. And my sock was sticking out just a little bit, peeking out of my knitting basket, or the project bag that it was in, and it actually was glowing. So I shouldn't be surprised, because it is neon graffiti was the colorway name, but yeah, it literally, the yellows, mostly the yellows, were actually glowing. It was actually kind of cool. So now I'm really excited to wear these socks. Should be kind of fun. I wonder if I can get them done in time for Halloween. That could be fun. I go out with my pastor's wife and their kids, and we trick-or-treat around in their neighborhood. So these could be fun to wear that night. Have to carry like a blue light or something with me to make them glow as I walk. Anyway, those are my retro socks. I do 56 stitches around. I knit them from the cuff down on two different circular needles. And I do the OMG heel by Megan Williams, which I described that heel pretty thoroughly last week. So if you need more information on that heel, you can go check that out in last week's podcast. The final project I have here has come out of hibernation, and it is my Musselburgh hat. I decided this week that now that school is back in session and the beginning of the school year is kind of underway, I could pull this back out, and I don't want it to fall off my needles, so there we go. Let's get the stitch marker out of the way. And there, that is how much I got done. So what, an inch and a half? We have redone our buses, or the order that the buses come. So they used to go in the afternoon. They used to go to the high school and then pick up at my middle school after. Well, this year they're picking up at the middle school first and then going to the high school, which means instead of like literally 30 minutes at the end of the day where I'm kind of on a quote unquote bus duty at the top of the stairs, it's only about 10 or 15 minutes. So I don't have nearly as much knitting time as I have had in the past. Not that I'm complaining, mind you, but I did feel I could still, I got for what I had, for what time I had, I thought that was pretty decent. So the Musselburgh hat, if you have been living under a rock, because they are everywhere, is a hat where you start on one end right here and you knit the crown and then you knit it all the way across and then you decrease and you have a crown on either side and then you take one side and you shove it into the other so you end up with a double thick hat. So this one is for me. This is my fourth one. I don't have the number on here, but I'm pretty sure this is my fourth Musselburgh hat. And this is another one of my hypnotic yarns. And this one, the colorway name is Love is Love. It was my February 2024 yarn. So I'm happy to have this one back in the rotation. I measured it just before I came online. I put a little stitch marker, a light bulb stitch marker, right up at the top when I finish the crown decreases. So it gives me a really solid measuring point. And I need 17 inches from this crown and the other side where I start to decrease. So I have about 12 inches, so I got 5 more inches to go. So yeah, and when I finish this one, then I have promised another one for one for my daughter for Christmas. So I gotta get this one off the needles so I can get hers done and make sure it's done by Christmas time. So those are my projects this week that I have been working on. I have a couple of others that I haven't talked about in a while. I have my longline cardigan. I have the crocheted little drawstring bag. I haven't touched either one of those. So I'm hoping maybe this week that those can come out. And then I do still have another cast on that I would like to get going on, but there's just only so much time in my week. So we'll see what I accomplish this coming week. For this week's random knitting fact, I thought I would pull out another kind of historical type of a fact. This one comes from Lovecraft's website. And I found that knitting was considered a national duty during times of war. And I believe that this would probably be from World War II and previously, probably going back as far back. In many countries, the women who were left behind in times of war were tasked with picking up where the men left off. And so their jobs included making aircrafts, weapons, farming. So yeah, aircrafts and weapons, that would definitely be World War I, World War II type of era. But I suspect that this would hold true for the Civil War as well, and probably even the Revolutionary War. They were also charged with the duty to knit socks, hats, and scarves for the soldiers that were stationed in cold places. Some families sent knitted garments straight to their soldiers, but then many others knit for all soldiers who might need a bit of warmth. And I think you probably have heard or read of those kind of wartime knitting circles. I think quilting was another common one, that they would get together and they would create things that they could then gather and collect and send off probably through the Red Cross to disperse to those soldiers to feel a little bit of comfort in such a horrific time. So that one I thought was kind of appropriate. I guess it seemed poignant to me where we had 9/11 just last week. National Day of Remembrance seemed like a good one to pull out for my fact for this week. So yeah, I don't think I've ever actually, I haven't done a whole lot of charity knitting, and certainly not that kind of charity knitting, but that might be something that I need to consider for the future. This week's day-to-day, I had a busy week, but it was pretty typical. I feel like I have finally settled into what will be my typical and general work week. Busy, every day is different, working at school and then working out on Tuesday and Thursday. I have Bible study on Wednesday. So that's kind of my normal week and some of the things that typically happen throughout the week. I had a couple of evening events this week that were were filtered in. Friday though, I had a fun day at work, so we were there. Our school day starts around 7:30 and we go till 2. So it was about 9:15 or so, and my assistant principal, we were kind of standing and chatting, and my assistant principal got a phone call. We had one of our teams of 80 kids was out on a field trip, and they were headed to a ropes course, which is about an hour or so away from the school. And they were probably 3/4 of the way there when they realized that they had forgotten the 2 coolers that contained the bagged lunches. So my AP and I did an emergency run out to Wiscasset to do that delivery, and that was just kind of fun. I have a picture I can actually pop in here of the ropes course, and I don't think I have any of the kids' faces, so I feel comfortable, or at least they're far enough away, I feel comfortable inserting that. But this is a field trip that we do every year with our 7th grade teams. We have 3 7th grade teams, and each team has a day. One of them went Friday, and then we have one going tomorrow and another one going on Tuesday, and they use it as really a team building kind of activity, and it's really, the kids have a lot of fun doing that. So, but again, it's like an hour's drive one direction. So by the time we got out there, we spent, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes enjoying and watching the kids, and then got back, it was like 12:30, and our day ends at 2. So it made for a really quick Friday, I have to say. It was kind of a fun little change. And then yesterday, as I already mentioned, we spent the day up in Orono. We left our house around 8 o'clock to get up there and had some lunch with my son, took him to Walmart so he could restock his dorm with snacks. Very important, you know. And then he's in the marching band. So we followed the marching band around campus before the football game. I've got a couple of pictures I'll pop in here of that, which was really so much fun. It's so much fun. They're really good. They do a great job, and the atmosphere of following them around campus. So they will start in the building or in front of the building where they are housed. It's called 1944 Hall, but that's the hall that the music department is kind of housed in. And they leave from there and they march across campus to the president's house, and they play in front of the president's house, and she always hosts. I think yesterday she had people from the alumni committee, and these were like probably 40 or 50-year alumni. Like they were older people for the most part. I'm trying to choose my words very carefully. So they play in front of the president's house, and then from there they march over to just outside the football stadium, and that's where everybody is tailgating the parking lots. There's like 3 different separate parking lots are filled with tailgaters, and they perform in front of the field house, and they do several different numbers there, and then they break for about 45 minutes and have kind of like, we call it, their own tailgate. And so the parents, the band parents, kind of provide a lunch or an opportunity for them to eat, for the kids to eat, or young adults, I guess I should say, right? These just, this is college. And they eat, and then they march into the football stadium, and they open with the national anthem, and then they have a halftime show, and they're kind of like the pep band during the football game, where they're playing pretty regularly. They're playing songs and providing some alternative entertainment. So that was super fun. There was a little bit, usually, most of the games that we've gone to have been at 1 o'clock, which works out really nicely. This was a 3:30 game. So by 5:30, we were partway through the 3rd quarter, and unfortunately, Orono was not doing very well. Let's say there was a very lopsided game. So knowing that we had about a 2-hour drive, my husband and I opted to leave a little bit early and just head back home, so that way we wouldn't be getting home too super late, because we have church the next day and wanted to have an opportunity to just kind of catch our breath again. We'd left at like 8 o'clock in the morning to make sure that we were up there. As soon as my son was done with his morning warm-ups, or they had a practice Saturday morning, as soon as they were done, we wanted to be able to take him out to breakfast, a late breakfast, so that, because we knew by 2:15 he'd be having lunch, so we wanted to kind of fit that in with him. But it was a great day. The weather was phenomenal. It was a beautiful sunny day, nice little breeze, and it was great. Unfortunately, again, I'm assuming, I haven't looked it up, but I'm assuming that they did lose, but it was fun anyway. So that, I think, is all I have for this episode. I thank you again so much for tuning in. If you like this episode, please give it a thumbs up, and please feel free to subscribe to the channel so that you always know when I post something new. I will have links down below in the show notes with all of the things that I have talked about. All of my project pages are linked, how you can get to me and those kinds of things. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Knittin Michelle, KNITTINMICHELLE. And please feel free to send me an email if you would like. I am michellesfiberstudio@gmail.com. With that, thank you again so much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic week and happy knitting.